questions. But Tessa, we're going to come to you for the first question.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm Tessa with Mama's Geeky. Thank you so much for your time today.
Our pleasure.
Listen, the first film, my favorite animated film of all time until now. I've got to ask you, like, how did you guys raise the bar here, and what was the challenges in that?
We had a lot of help. I would say, first of all, thank you to all of you guys. This particular blogosphere has been huge supporters of our work since Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So thank you guys, and particularly Tessa. I think you texted Mike Lasker or the VFX soup of this film a couple nights ago after walking out of the screening, and we were like in the throes of trying to finish the final version of the film, and he read it to all of us, and it put some wind in our spinnaker. So thank you very much.
But it was a big challenge. Obviously, the first film was beloved and was innovative and changed things, and we didn't want to follow up with a sequel that was just more of the same, because we wanted to give the audience the same sense of surprise and delight and go on a new emotional journey with Miles. And so we knew we had to do something special and something new, and the pressure that we felt, the entire crew felt as well, and everyone wanted to take what we learned making the first movie and build on that to do something wholly original. And so that's why it took so long. It took us 4.5 years to get this thing done, because it's such an ambitious movie that's trying to be something you've never seen before, trying to amaze from a visual cinematic language, but also to be really compelling on a story level as well. And it took a lot of really smart people working really hard for a very long time to pull it off.
Well, it was worth the wait, and I can't wait for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Angela, you're up next.
Hi guys, congratulations. I absolutely love the film. You guys killed it yet again. I wanted to talk about where you draw your inspiration from. There were so many layers and complexities, yet the transitions were seamless. So how do you guys come up with this stuff?
I've never heard a good answer to that question.
We talk a lot, and we talk a lot about like what is a good, it started with trying to find a way for the first movie, what felt like Miles going from a boy to a teenager, and this one was sort of him going from a teenager to a man. And we talked a lot about how parents and their children both need to grow up as their relationship evolves as they get older, and it gets more complicated. As we all know, I'm a parent of a 14 and 10-year-old, and they're it's getting more complicated as it goes, and you have to, what you're doing when they're 2 is very different from what you're doing when they're a teenager, and so that became a really important theme that we ended up weaving in through all of the storylines. This, Gwen and her father, Peter B being a new dad, Jess having a mom to be, all the stories were surrounding parents and children, and different perspectives on what that relationship can be and should be.
Ashley, you're up next.
Hey guys, it was absolutely phenomenal. I didn't think you could touch the first one, let alone top it, but yet here we are. I walked out of the theater just like, I had no words. I was so excited for it. So there's so many Easter eggs and cameos and callbacks, and not just animated ones and comic book ones, but live action ones. Do you have a favorite, or one that you're more excited for fans to see than another?
I'm trying to not spoil things.
Yes, we do want to make sure that the audience is not as spoiled and has the same level of surprise that you all got to have.
Well, one fun fact is that our friend Taryn gets to play Web Slinger along with Widow, his mayor.
This is Taryn Killam, who the actor from Saturday Night Live, who also writes the Web Slinger comics. He got to voice him. That's a really,
and he's our old friend ever since the How I Met Your Mother days. So that was a real treat.
There's a bunch of delightful cameos that we really can't spoil, but
There's also Metro Boomin,
that's right.
who makes his animated acting debut in this film.
Yes, and also is responsible for the beautiful soundtrack that I think it really captures the feelings of the film really well.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved all of it. I can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
Diane, you have
know
the
how it
next
turns out.
question.
Hi, I'm Diane from Three Decades, Three Kids. I absolutely loved the movie. I loved it. I didn't want it to end. I was like, when it said to be continued, I was like, okay, let's do that right now. I have been like Spider-Manning forever because I've been a mom for 30 years. So we have had every Spider-Man character imaginable to man in our house. But you really pulled it off. I absolutely loved it. What I wanted to know was what parts were like, I don't want to say your favorite, but like what parts really hit home with you,
Mm.
as just like personally.
I think the scene with Miles and his mom on the rooftop always gets me choked up, and Phil wrote most of that scene, and like I always think it's really a really beautiful thing that's really sums up the themes of the movie, and
It came from something that a friend of mine told me once, which is she had a photograph in her room of her as a very young girl, and her mother was a very tough customer from Zaragoza, Spain. She said when she moved into the apartment, she pointed at the picture of the little girl and said, "You have to take care of that little girl for me." And then she said, "And that little girl deserves to live in a clean room." So clean up your room. And I just thought that was such a beautiful thought, that you are that a parent and their adult child are co-parenting this young person that still walks this earth, that now you have to share this responsibility with me. You owe it to me to take care of yourself. And I thought that was such an incredible thought, that when I was desperate for how to write this scene, I drew upon that.
It was beautiful. I mean, it hit me too. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to bring the family to see it.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Lorena, you have the next question.
Hi, I'm Lorena from Alvarez Adventures. Just to echo everyone else, it's amazing. It was great. And the three things that stood out to me the most were, number one, the diversity. As a Latina, I loved seeing so many different people, colors. That was amazing. Number two was the message of family. I'm also a mom of a 10 and a 14-year-old.
All right.
And they're both boys. So that scene on the roof, oh my goodness, my heart was just like, ah. And that message that you just shared was beautiful. I love that. And the third one was the amazing comic style graphics. That was so cool. I loved all the colors and the way that the emotions were coming through with the colors. It was just so beautiful to look at. So my question is, what was the message that was most important for you to get across to your viewers?
I mean, I think when you add those things up together, it's the value of any individual and their specific way that they are and the way that they choose to live has so much importance. And every step of this movie, we're trying to express the critical importance of a single human creative thought. So every universe looks like a different kind of comic book. Every character appears to be drawn by and designed by a singular artist. You know, an early title for the very first Spider-Man movie was that, which was never going to work, was The Singular Spider-Man. Meaning each one of us is unique, and that uniqueness is critical to the larger group. And so that falling into line is actually not what we're supposed to do. We're actually, the fact that each of these characters are standing next to each other and they're all drawn differently and they all have different experiences, and yet they are trying to form a team. That is really beautiful to us.
Right. Another moment from the film that always gets me kind of choked up is when Spider-Man Punk, who sort of you think is going to be sort of an antagonist to Miles, ends up being like a real ally to him, and the power of these people coming from different worlds and different perspectives, but that they can help each other be better people is the thing you got to hope for the future.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Good job on that.
Michael, you have the next question.
Hi. Well, I saw the movie and I really liked it. It was so emotional just to watch everything play out the way it did. But my question is more about the biracial component of Miles Morales and Miguel O'Hara, because they do these great, amazing superhero things and they have their own unique powers, but also they embrace their biracial identity as well. So how can their presence of sorts send a message to those who are also biracial, but also struggling with the fact that sometimes they hear they're not enough of this one or they're not enough of that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's like what's so interesting to write about when you're trying to write about Miles, right? And I can only relate to this to some degree, which is that I'm a Cuban American with an American father, and I don't speak Spanish as well as most of the people that I grew up with in Miami, because we speak English in our house. And so, but I also don't want 100%, I'm not the same as the kids with two American parents. So it's very to me, that's a very interesting place for a character to be, because they're in a liminal state in between two things and in between categories. It's just another way of saying that each of us is, an individual, and we have different influences.
And there's no monolithic culture. Even within any culture, there are subcultures and different, you go to any city in any place in the world and you're going to hear different languages being spoken. And so there's no place that just feels like one pure thing. And the fact that everybody on some level feels like they have all these different influences in them is something that I think that everyone can relate to.
And to categorize or standardize a person is absurd.
We all have
right?
lots of influences.
Yeah.
So,
Of
and the other
course.
thing that we attempt to do with the movie is just do the very, very simple thing of having people be represented in the movie and not to make it something weird.
Right.
And not to make the story
about that,
about how unusual that is, but rather to make it seem ubiquitous and simple. So people speak Spanish in this movie the way that we all hear Spanish, walking down the street, that it's ubiquitous, it's simple, it's easy, it's present, and it's not no, people don't have to stop and go, whoa, wait a minute. Right? Wait, your last name is O'Hara? That's strange. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly.
Have it just be simple.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining. Please say your goodbyes and exit the Zoom room.
all right.
Thank you
thanks.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Really
guys so
appreciate it.
much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Wonderful
Thank you.
film.
Okay, let's cut to, please.